I think I'm bitter, like historically bitter. I get jealous, which as long as you speak of jealousy, it can turn into admiration and not envy. I get very jealous when people just talk about like where their family is from. I think I think it is very underestimated how little black people know about their history sometimes. Like, unless your family, like, before you, like, really went deep, and unless you guys kept great records, like, it's really hard. Like, I think my great grandma was a politician. I'm pretty sure if I sat down and had a conversation, I would find out. It's just like, that's more uncommon now than it was before. And I'm just bitter. It's like, your history just basically like has a stopping point, because it's like, well, I know at least it's something, and then slavery, and it's like, okay, first of all, there's things that happened before and after that, but it's just like people don't talk about that shit anymore. And but I think that's where the irritation comes from, because it's like, if no one talks about it, my history is just like poof. Whereas there's people that have like books, records, da 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 da, and it's like they don't realize, like, that's fucking traumatizing. Like, it's traumatizing not to know anything other than I'm black. It's traumatizing to, like, I do not like African American. One, we still haven't acknowledged like the problem between blacks and Africans, which like still fucks me up. Two, come on now, American. Ari, I will not. That kind of misthinking. I have yet to be able to go into a grocery store and say, "Oh, I'm gonna go to Al so and so because they have food from my culture in that aisle." You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this is something that is very into, like, this is heritage. You know, I don't even know how to use the fucking words correctly, to be truthfully honest, because literally all that the only label I'm willing to claim is I'm black. And it's like, I think the hardest part about it is there are black people that have other pieces in them. Which I'm not saying like fault yourself for it. You know what I'm saying? It's just, even some of those people don't even realize how blessed they are to have some heritage to hold on to. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're black, but you literally know your history. So it's like, just always felt as though I was nigga mixed with nigga. And if there are any more nigga times nigga raised to the second powers out there, it's just like, I don't think we speak up about it because we're not trying to bash other people that are also black, but it's like, people, coming from my experience and acknowledging the observations, right? There's just a lot of people that have history. Meanwhile, it's a lot of us that don't. And if you think that that doesn't make a difference, you playing yourself. Like, it matters. To be honest, I like to talk about controversial topics that I know people are thinking about. It's just, we don't feel as though like it's going to be a safe space to talk about it. I mean, at this point, is any place a safe place? So I just think it's very important. And it's like, I watch stuff, I listen to conversations, and it's like, it's so fucking irritating just to know, like, damn, like, I mean, I got a mom and a dad and a grandma and a grandfather. I mean, I didn't know all these people, but they was there. So, like, genetically, I had pieces. And it's like, okay, so what about culture? And it's like, I'm black. Okay, like, are there any, like, routines and rituals that you guys have ever passed on? Like, you're not supposed to open an umbrella when it's like, when you're in a house, like when it's thundering and lightning, you turn all the power off. What else? Like, yelling in the house might, make the electric bill go up. Do that count? My great grandma, something she passed on. I had my first nosebleed when I was really, really young. On a string, she put a copper key on a string, put it on my back, like, tied it on a string, put it on my back. Said like this, I ain't had a nosebleed in life since. Does that count? So, I can learn my family history. I think it's the cultural history that I'm still not aware of whether it will be missing once I do that research. And that's kind of scary. So I am going to do, like, that's my goal. Like, I'm baby stepping myself into it because I didn't like my family too much at first. But I'm healing now. I can see them from a different perspective. Hurt people. We grieving and shit, traumatized. And it's like, it's like, you don't know nothing. And, this is why I go so hard for little black girls. I mean, like, all black people, but specifically, like, my little black girls. Identity is important, and for people in general, but again, I've only known the perspective of being a little black girl and now a black woman. Identity is important. When you grow up your whole life where, like, the terms to acknowledge you that you are required to abide by, not sexually, but just like, as, like, I guess the basis of it. Like, I don't think people realize, like, African American can be traumatizing for some people. I'm not gonna lie. If the African that I met wasn't my age, they were mean as fuck. Africans that are older generations, a lot of them don't like black people. And it's like, nobody wants to talk about that shit, but that's fucked up. Like, the main people that look closest to you don't even like you sometimes. And I'm not saying that it's on purpose. Some people say, like, yeah, I mean, that's just like, that's how they talk. Nah, fuck that. Because if they was on a job talking to that white person, I bet you that they turn that shit off. So don't give me that shit. Like, I've told my mom before, the same energy you use to answer that phone call, use that energy when you talking to me. Y'all need, like, I don't have time for people that don't know how to, like, respect black people. We've been through too much, especially when, I'm not saying it's not fucked up everywhere, but when you get to choose to come over here versus, like, I just was here, and you assuming that because we've been here, even though it's from slavery, like, just because we've been here, we privileged. If you knew the trauma that is passed on from living here, like, I don't think people even realize how blessed they are just being first generation. You have something else to connect to. This is not the foreground. Like, for some people, America is all they fucking know. And that means all they know is corruption, propaganda, hate of self, good God. Like, this is the weirdest country where they glorify the exact people that they hate. Over and over. What a mind fuck. It's no wonder we don't know how to love ourselves. Not all of us, because I love my black people. But, you know, a lot of us, it's like, this country don't like black people. So as a black person, if you... Point being, I think, personal, Kip theory, it is a lot of people that are struggling with their identity because they have nothing to connect it to past, I guess, the fuckery and propaganda that exists right now. For example, I was told growing up that you had to wear earrings. I was told growing up that you had to wear colors that matched all the time. So, like, walking outside in brown and black was not an option. I was raised where, like, walking out in pajamas could have got my ass whooped. I was raised where walking out the house without a perm, it was like, first of all, let me set that appointment up now. Meaning I never really had the opportunity to learn to love myself as I am. People don't realize that fucks you up. I was raised where I had to be a certain weight. Not saying that doesn't exist everywhere, but again, I'm just naming all of these things. Mind you, none of it has to do with me being a human. None of it has to do with me actually admiring my blackness at all. None of that shit is what we were supposed to actually take. It's just the shit that was forced upon us, and we low-key ended up, like, continuing that shit over time. I just feel as though, like, there needs to be a real conversation about blackness that, like, makes people unfucking comfortable. Uncomfortable. Because right now it's like, I get that we trying to, like, work within the shit, but it's like, all right, okay. But, like, right now, can we at least just talk about the fact that, like, Nothing. Like, a lot of people are walking around here connected to nothing. Nothing. Listen. 9 times out of 10, if I talk to a black person and they're overly empathetic or sympathetic for the other race, more so than the black race, right? Usually there's a piece of cultural or heritage that they have a connection to outside of just blackness. It just is what it is. It's like, I don't know if it's their guilt, where they feel as though acknowledging one side of them means they can't, like, they're bashing the other. I don't know, but me personally, I grew up in the South. I was going back and forth during the summers. My family's from the South, and also they're very religious. So you can imagine. Like, I haven't even that's why I was like, set sexuality aside, because we ain't gonna talk about how religion fucked up my relationship with sex. ABC's the EP. So I'm excited for, like, real conversations. I'm excited to, like, put me on the, what's that shit called when they put people on vocabulary. Whatever. You know, when it's a conversation of a bunch of people, put me on a conversation. Let's have some uncomfortable shit. I bet you I say a bunch of shit that everybody thinking, but somebody don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. All of us hurting right now. That shit, us being silent ain't helped us. Us being silent has not helped us. It is centuries later. None of those things that we were doing in the past, where we were like, we're just going to do this, withstand, because we could work through. None of that shit worked. Now it's time to speak the fuck up. Speak your truth. Don't care who you hurt their feelings, because I promise you, not speaking your truth is going to hurt the shit out of you worse. Now, still go to therapy, because our goal is not to just be going around hurting people's feelings, though.